Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. It is the Positively Awesome Wrestling Podcast, and as you can see, the Trinity has been reformed. We have Tidy back from vacation. All is right in the world. So without further ado, Tidy, how the hell have you been, and how have you been enjoying the wrestling that you have been able to watch?
I've been getting better. I was sick. I was telling you earlier, still congested a bit and during my vacation, but besides that, I got to play a game called Baldur's Gate 3, which is the greatest video game of all time. Hands down, greatest video game of all time. 17,000 different endings. Have you heard of something like that? No,
I've never heard of anything. That's insanity.
Talk about love. Anyways, that and the wrestling, man, I'm kind of blown away by certain really good things that everybody's in a good position. I mean, if you're using Becky and Dom to transition to give some more color and highlight to NXT, it's a really good thing. I heard there was some layoffs. I haven't got to look at everything else on that, but
so have you heard the names?
I feel bad for Courtney, man. Ziggler's gone.
Yeah.
That dude had one more IC title run or something in him, dude. I really wanted one more for Ziggler, man.
Tidy is back for sure. What up, babe? What up, babe? Thank you for joining. She says it's all looking good. That's great, and she is happy to have Tidy back as well, but not to be missed. She says hello, Albert, and Courtney says hello, Albert, as well. You're not being left out there. And there you go. She just verified it. She is pissed. The Zigmeister is gone.
I'm not very happy either, Courtney. I know. I mean, I'm not exactly pissed, but I'm a little depressed on what coulda, shoulda.
I will say it was 18 years. That's a long time to be in WWE, and kudos to him for lasting that long. Honestly, that is a very long time.
Well, and selfishly, this means we'll never get another like throwback Dolph Ziggler WWE Mattel figure, and that breaks my heart too. So.
Nature Boy, Ric Flair gave a great shout out to Ziggler, man. That was
I think the Rock. A lot of
respect. A lot of respect on that. I think a lot of understood how great he was.
19 years, and that man came from being a cheerleader to being like he's a Hall of Famer for sure. And I think he's like, I don't know if we
a caddy to a cheerleader to the Ziggler. I mean,
I don't think we do first ballots in WWE, but if they did, he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer hands down. He had a wonderful career. I don't think there's anything to look back on and be like, shame. Like he had a great career, and I think he'd be more than happy with what happened and how long it's lasted and all that. So I'm not surprised, but at the same time, I do feel bad. But everybody that got released, I'm 100% positive is going to be fine. Wrestling is in a boom period. We can officially say that it's in a boom period, and these guys and gals are going to be fine. They got to live their dream. Hopefully, for the ones that didn't get to live it out all that much, they can go off, own their craft, come back, and live their dream again. But I don't want to spend too much time on that. Albert, how the heck are you? How the heck have you enjoyed this last week in wrestling, man?
Well, I'm doing a lot better. I'm doing a lot better now that the audio issues have been a little bit, rectified. I mean, last week was a nightmare. The week before that was a train wreck. So Tidy kind of avoided a lot of a lot of the nonsense that went on.
No, he was actually here for the train wreck. That was 3 weeks ago. Because
that's right.
My bad. He sent us off on good fortune.
And we haven't recovered until now. So
what better time now that the Trinity is reformed, as I said.
I'm the curse and the blessing. I am back.
Tidy, you said that you were playing a game with like 17,064 endings or something like that, right? That's kind of like how I feel about the Bloodline right now. I feel like that angle's got about that many different endings at this point. Every week, the highlight of my week either seems to be the Judgment Day or the Bloodline, and I don't know where the Bloodline story is 100% going right now, and I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
I'm intrigued by a lot of stuff, especially the Bloodline and why Jay's on Raw, taking him away from Roman. That true ending, as everybody says on Twitter. And then you're gonna take away Sammy. Man, there ain't no choice but to put Cody over there, man. What's going on?
All right. So with that perfect way to transition, we're gonna go into our favorite moments from the week. Albert, I'm gonna go to you first because I know what Tidy's is. We're gonna kind of refresh his memory a little bit on some things, and I'll go with you first. What was your favorite moment from this past week in wrestling, baby?
The ever-evolving storyline and ever-evolving character arc of Jimmy Uso. I mean, where has this been going? I mean, we see he comes out at the beginning of the show, not with Paul Heyman, just with Solo. He's, taking people out. It looks like he's calling the shots. And even Heyman's looking at him. Every time he does something, Heyman's in the background going, oh, I can't believe this. Oh, I can't believe it. He's signing the contract. Then Solo looks back up. Well, you may as well do it now. I mean, Heyman's acting is so good. It's incredible. Every twist and turn of this story, where Solo's allegiance lies right now, it's making me want Roman to come back even more. And this is why when people complain that Roman's not there, they're building the intrigue. Because if Roman was there, this can't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're building an intrigue now, trying to figure out where we're going to go with all this stuff. Man, I'm loving every second of it.
It's been fantastic. I'm glad you're on board with the Jimmy stuff. I'm curious to get Tidy's opinion on it too, because I am one of the few people I've seen actually be vocal about the fact I love what they're doing with Jimmy Uso, because he is the loose cannon that we thought Roman would turn into. And I think it's just been brilliant because he's like, yo, I'm the top dog. Then next thing you know, he's like, yo, I'm not so sure of myself. And then he gets people on his back and he's like, I'm top dog again. I'm running the show because Roman ain't here. And it's great. So Tidy, what about you? Are you in or out on this Jimmy Uso character arc? I got to know.
I'm in on it. Just like the last part you said, it's Roman ain't here. I'm gonna kind of do what I want. But then he's like, Paul's like, who gave you the order? He's like, oh, well, let me know what Roman says or whatever. Like, cool. And he dips in a smooth way. And I was like, man, that is some crazy shit for Jimmy to be doing. That's some ballsy shit. I mean, but it's like he doesn't care. So that's the intrigue for us. Is like, what the hell is he gonna say when Roman comes? Is he gonna have something more slick to say, or is he gonna act like he's falling in line again, just like he did when he took back all that stuff? And he still hasn't even answered to Roman with the, screw your yacht and screw your gift. Like, I mean, there's a lot to be said on that. And the Rock's floating around. I mean, there's just a lot to go. And John Cena's around, and he's challenging John Cena, and everybody wants John Cena's 17-time championship. It's super intriguing. So the Bloodline, I mean, if they were the number one story for years, don't think because the Judgment Day is doing their own thing that, I think Roman and Paul and anybody else wants to bring the Bloodline story back to number one. And I'm impressed with Jimmy's doing. It's definitely got me intrigued.
This is great news. This is great. So we're all in on old Jimmy Uso. So that's good.
We have our matching scarves today.
That's why I threw it on. I saw you had it. I was like, screw it. I'm gonna throw it on. I got the scarf. I got it all. Got the captain hat because I am the captain now. Don't you forget it. Buddy Wars champion as well. But with that said, Tidy, we're gonna swing it over to you because I'm very excited about this. I was very pleased with the match. It was so good that I didn't even realize the length it was going. Like the time just kind of just went nicely. Smackdown in general kind of went through pretty nicely, very quick.
Yeah.
What was your favorite moment of last week in wrestling?
Of course, it's going to be Io versus Asuka. I mean, I saw some good stuff on NXT, man. I mean, Pete Dunne and the Heritage Cup Championship and everything is going on there. I mean, Dom was representing, putting on good matches. It's just, man, my two other favorite matches has to do with Asuka versus Nikki Cross in NXT, Asuka versus Charlotte, WrestleMania. I mean, and Asuka does it again. And the reason why it meant so much to me was because I want Asuka to be more in a favorable light, as if she was back in NXT or when she first came to WWE.
Yeah. Because
she's too damn talented not to. And even with the Wildcat looking makeup and everything, that I'm like, I'm all right with it. But I like how she carries herself in the match. Oh, man, just the match alone. As soon as it started, I knew what it was going to be. she puts her into a headlock and drags her, and you think, oh, she's gonna push. Nope, she's gonna take her ass to the mat with her, and then Io does the same. And usually I'm pissed off about the commentary, like, hey, that was kind of a bit of a miss. But as they were saying these things, the commentary was perfectly intertwined with the story in the ring. It was one of the first times I loved every second of the commentary. It did nothing but add. Charlotte Flair on the outside added to the anticipation of why is she there again amongst the championship. She shouldn't be there. And I know everybody's saying that, but I'm not a naysayer on Charlotte. I'm glad she's there because she considers Asuka to be her greatest opponent, according to what her interview with Ric Flair. So, I mean, dude, just the ending of it. I mean, the way that she put her in an Asuka lock, broke out of the Asuka lock, German suplex, flipped it over to like an arm bar, Fujiwara arm bar.
Asuka was looking to finish her.
The amount of shit that, I mean, Io got offense in, true. I mean, I think the best thing was that springboard when she jumped off the top rope, kicked her ass off the top rope
to the ground.
Yeah, bounced
that
off
was
the side of the
beautiful.
apron into the ground. It was just an intense match, and I haven't got to see the ladies really let loose in a while, and that was a great example of what happens when you put Asuka in a match. So my thing is Asuka now can be represented properly, because after that, I think if anybody steps in the ring with Asuka, they think they're going to get a Sheamus match, because it's brutal shit. She got represented the right way, so she saved some face. There was a bit of shenanigans, but more importantly, that sets up for what Io is a pure star now. Everybody knows that. Io had to fight her ass off to hold that, which makes Asuka look fantastic, as she should. And then there's beef with Charlotte, Bayley, Io. Well, Charlotte, Bayley, Asuka. There's going to be shit with that. So that's
a lot of intertwining parts in here, and it's great.
I couldn't ask for more in a match. Everything looked best match I saw in a while.
First off, thank you, Monster Balls, for joining. Awesome. Yes, it was awesome. Or us. Yes, we are awesome as well. 2, I want to point out the one Asuka lock where she like literally whipped Io like 180 to drop her down. I was like, man, this is brutal.
Yo.
And 3, I did see a few people like, man, but they could go so much faster. You don't have to go fast to have a good match. That match was physical. Those girls were trying to hurt each other, and it was great. I don't know why we're looking at a match like that and trying to find ways it could have been better. No. And we'll get more of that later on our top 5 segment that is debuting on tonight's episode. But the match was awesome. It was just so cool. And when Tidy told me this was his moment, I was so happy because I wanted to hear what he thought about it, and I wanted to put some shine some light on it because it was fantastic.
Absolutely unreal. I actually watched Smackdown this morning. Saturday and Friday I was a little bit busy, so I watched it this morning, and my girlfriend woke up, and I had just started the match, and she had just sat down. I had just made her breakfast, and her eyes didn't leave the screen the entire time. She was like, and she's not the biggest wrestling fan in the world, but she gets a little bit more excited when she sees the women's matches. But she was like, "Ooh, this looks good!" And the whole time, she was into it. She was like, "Wow, this was a really good. That was so long." Yeah. The one thing I love about the WWE style that's a little bit different than the AEW style is that they didn't rush. They took the time to let these moves breathe, to let us get into the story, to let us, feel the impact of these blows. These are 2 of the best women in the world, and they looked phenomenal. Tidy, again, you said that this was your favorite moment of the week. It was hard for me to try to find something else that I didn't want to mention, because this was one of my favorite moments as well. What an unbelievable match. I mean, 2 of the best women in the entire world. Yeah. 2 of the best wrestlers in the entire world.
And Courtney's asking, was it good? Let's go ahead and give us a 5. Let's give it our star rating system here. Tidy, what would you give it out of 5 stars?
I can't. I got to give it 20 out of a 10.
20 out of a 10. You heard the man. Yep. Albert, what would you give it out of 5 stars?
I'm no Dave Meltzer, but I would say it's like a 4 out of 5 stars right there.
That's a good thing that you're not him. And then me, I don't do star ratings. I don't do decimal points. I just say, yo, that shit was crazy good.
Yeah.
And you just got to take my word for it, because it was crazy good. Now, it's my turn. My favorite moment from the week. I wanted to give some love to AEW. Grand Slam had all the makings to be a phenomenal show. There was a few things in there that kind of prevented it. I'm not going to touch on them. Everybody that's watching probably knows what those things are, so I'm not going to put no light on it. I'm going to give some light. I want to ask Tidy a question first. Tidy, how much charisma do you think Roderick Strong has as far as character work goes?
Oh man, that dude that I saw on NXT seems like he was getting a bit better. Oh no.
He'll be back. He'll be back.
Oh, but in the ring, he's great, man. Character wise, I didn't see a lot of character coming out. Nah, he was okay. He was never great.
All right, well, here you go. My favorite moment of the week is Roderick Strong's character work.
Oh,
this man is the most entertaining thing in AEW and is top 3 most entertaining things in all of wrestling to me right now.
Really?
Adam! So, to fill you in, Tidy, to give you an idea of why he's in that situation. MJF or Roderick Strong wrestled Samoa Joe and he hurt his neck. We all know that Roderick Strong and Adam Cole are good friends. And I showed you I sent you the clips of how Adam Cole and MJF are buddy now.
Yeah.
And Roderick Strong is jealous. So Roderick Strong has aligned himself with 2 other people who used to be aligned with Adam Cole back in Ring of Honor. And they're trying to, I don't even know. They're just obsessed with Adam Cole being with MJF. So anytime there's a segment going on, all of a sudden you'll just start hearing Adam. And then here comes Roderick Strong in his neck brace. And then he's wearing these glasses now because he's trying to take some drip from the Jimmy Drip King baby, you know. And he's basically like, MJF has a neck injury. And he goes, you care more about his neck injury than you cared about my neck injury. So he wrestled Samoa Joe again in the tournament. And he ended up in the hospital because Samoa Joe hurt his neck, quote unquote. But what was funny about it is because after the match, Adam Cole wasn't down there. And then as soon as he came down, he started to come down. Roderick Strong saw it and then just dropped to the ground and was like, my neck. So they took him to the hospital. So this week, he's now looking like this. So
okay, Roger.
Adam Cole comes to visit him. And the other 2 guys are like, just like, Adam, you don't even care. You need to get out of here. But Roderick Strong just keeps going, Adam. So he calls Adam Cole. MJF had a big match against Samoa Joe, and he has a hurt neck. And, you know, Samoa Joe's the one that's done it. But he calls Adam before that match happens. He goes, and he basically tells Adam Cole that he's about to die and he needs to come see him. That way he can't be there for MJF during the Samoa Joe match.
That's awesome.
And, man, never in a million years. This is going on, like, I think 5 weeks now, where I just crack up every time I see Roderick Strong. It is brilliant what he's doing. As soon as he wins the match, the 2 guys jump in the ring. It's Mike Bennett and
Matt Taven.
Nick hates this guy with a passion, but they come in the ring and they hurry up and put the neck brace back on him because his neck's hurt. And it is so damn good and so
it's the most ridiculous thing ever. It's hysterical.
It is. Never in a million years would I think Roderick Strong was this freaking hilarious, and he is. And I just want to give him the shout out because he has been phenomenal. Yeah, neck strong. I will say, Mike Bennett's whole ordeal about neck awareness thing, I'm not feeling that. I feel like that was a little bit too cornball for me, but that's fine. I'm not putting him in the highlight. I'm putting Roderick Strong in the highlight because how could you not find this freaking hilarious?
Good on him, man, because I always loved his wrestling and
he's fantastic.
His charisma. And in NXT, what was it, man? They were pushing Riley, and you know they were trying to push him towards the end.
Yeah,
and I was like, man, what about Roderick? And then it's like, if he can just bust out with something, that'd be great. So good to hear, man. That's awesome.
And, so in that scene where he's in that bed, Adam Cole's there, and he's like turning to leave, and he does the button where he slowly comes up, but as he's coming up, it's sitting there going like, and there's nobody talking, no nothing. He's just building up this. He's just, and then when Adam goes to leave, he goes back down there. It's so good. It's so good. Sammy Guevara is involved in some great stuff right now too. I'm assuming that's Courtney's. There's a lot of great stuff on Grand Slam. There really
what a turncoat. That's Sammy Guevara. Yeah. What a turncoat. Yeah. Unbelievable.
I saw it coming a mile away, but it's still, I liked it. They did a throwback to the Shawn Michaels Y2J turn at WrestleMania. So that was my favorite moment of the week. Those are our favorite moments of the week. I hope you guys enjoyed them But again, great week in wrestling all around. So I'm sure there was plenty for people to enjoy. With that, we are now going to transition to a new segment on the show in which we are going to come up with some top 5 lists. I used to watch David Letterman back in the day. I like this top 10 list. So I'm going to do my own list here. Sorry, I'm not stealing the idea. I'm just borrowing it. So don't come after me, please.
It's different. It's only 5. Who did 10? It's only 5.
Exactly. There's difference there. There's a difference there. I did see a crazy story today about something where that could be a problem, but I'm not worried about it. So with that said, the Positively Awesome Wrestling top 5 list of the week. And this week, we will be going over 5 things that fans should stop doing. And the reason I say they should stop doing them is because if you did, I think you'd enjoy the show more. And that's all it is. I will admit, maybe not Tidy, but I know myself and Albert have been caught doing some of these things ourselves. We don't do them that much. We do talk about them on the show. Things come up, and it is. But I have been making an active effort to stop doing some of these things, and I will tell you which ones I've done when we get to them. But this week, on top of was doing this list, when I come up with the idea, I'm going to drop it on the Positively Awesome Wrestling Twitter page, X page, whatever you want to call it. X page just sounds dirty, so I'm going to stick with Twitter. And I'm going to let the fans or the people that follow us help out with the lists. I want to make the best top 5 lists we can, and that's what we're going to do from here on out. So with that said, number 5, we need to stop reacting to matches that were never announced, because I see it every single week. Oh, we were supposed to get this match and it was pulled. Oh, I'm so angry. Well, if you didn't follow dirt sheets, you wouldn't know it was going to happen, and you would have no reason to be angry about it. So I don't understand what we're doing. I just don't get it. I say every week.
One of the things that we've talked about, Jimmy, over the past couple of weeks is that you've stopped, altogether looking through the dirt sheets. And that's one of the things that's going to make your viewing experience better. And I can tell you that from experience. Well, I think I brought this up either a week or 2 weeks ago. When we were growing up, there was no such thing as dirt sheets unless you actually paid for them and they came through the mail. You know what I mean? It was we didn't grow up with computers, we would watch Raw, and every week we would have no idea what was happening on Monday Night Raw because we didn't read spoilers and we had no dirt sheets and nothing to spoil it. And it was so much better because there was nothing, we weren't anticipating I know this is going to be the week that this guy's going to come back. When that person came back, it was, oh my God, you grabbed your phone, called your friend's house. Did you see he returned this week? That it was
just to butt in there real quick. My favorite moment ever in the history of wrestling was when Chris Jericho debuted on WWF, because I had no idea what was happening. And I loved him so much in WCW, and they made such a big deal out of him in that, his debut. I was like, what? It was fantastic. Now,
I agree.
I know people want to know things ins and out, and that's fine. But my thing here is I just don't understand why we're getting mad about matches that were never made official. It doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. When we watch deleted scenes on DVDs for movies, do we be like, man, I'm so mad they took that scene out? No, because it didn't make the movie. And unless you went the extra mile to see that, you wouldn't be mad about it. So with that, these are suggestions. That's a big one. I would highly suggest just don't pay attention to those because they don't matter. They don't matter because they didn't make the show. Number 4, arguing about ratings. Now, I know we've brought up ratings a few times, and it's usually because they've gone really low, and that's when it kind of becomes worrisome. But every single week, again, this was something I don't see it as much anymore because I've literally just blanked it out. But I know it was a big thing for the longest time. It was like, well, they didn't make $1 million, so the show wasn't good. No, the show was really good. I don't care if 5 people watched the show. The show was good. The show was good, and it really shouldn't matter. I don't even know.
When it comes to
movies, let's think of some movies that have bombed. Everybody here Grandma's Boy?
Great movie.
Have you seen Grandma's Boy? Okay.
Yeah.
Do we know how much money it made? Do we know how much people went to see it?
No.
Still loved it. And if anybody ever came to me and was like, it only made that, I'd be like, shut your mouth. It doesn't matter. It was a funny movie. It's just wild.
If you're And it really what it just boils down to is kind of almost reiterating what we said before. If your fandom is so intertwined with what people on Twitter are going to think about what the content of your show was based on ratings, then you're not enjoying wrestling at all. You're just enjoying wrestling, gossip. And what is that? Like, just watch the show, enjoy the show. And if it gets a bad rating, look, I know Raw's going to get bad. Raw is my favorite wrestling show out there right now, and I know it's going to get bad ratings the next couple of weeks because they're up against not one but two NFL games on Monday night. It's just going to happen. You know what? It hasn't. My enjoyment of that show has not changed over the past 3 weeks because 500,000 viewers didn't watch it with me.
Routinely, I watch Rampage, and most of the time I enjoy Rampage, and it doesn't get watched by that many people. I don't really care.
Nobody watches Rampage.
Because I do.
Yeah, except you.
I'm one of the few. So I promise you,
unless you're trying to convince somebody like, man, I really like NXT or whatever, and then you're trying to convince somebody, but if you see the ratings, it was better than your ratings of the show you like. I mean, I could see somebody using that for their ammunition of like trying to convince people why their show is so good. And I can see why people just hate on another show and want to bring up, well, hey, your ratings suck this week. Stop being a loser. Watch something else. I can see that. I mean, there's people that are all about statistics. I mean, whether you said your first number 5 complaint, like I would watch anime, and then if I wanted to doggy it instead of watching it live show by show, I would read the manga and read ahead. So people want to read dirt sheets or whatever it is. I can understand why they would want to do that because you're geeking out so hard. Okay. But ratings, I don't really see the ratings as an extra person who wants to mathematically say my show is doing good or this is good. But, who would give a shit about the ratings unless really the person it affects the most is the person that's invested in it? Like, are you in the business? Are you in the business?
Yeah.
If you're not in the business, it shouldn't always equate to how much I enjoy it.
No. Absolutely.
How many really, really good TV shows have we started watching season 1 and it just did horrible, but it was so good. Just not enough people watched it for it to get to a season 2. But if those people would have gotten their eyes on that, then it would have been like maybe it would have been a more successful show. Yes, shows can get canceled because their ratings are low, but let's not let's not mince words here. Professional wrestling, the main shows that we talk about that we watch every week, there's no chance of them getting canceled anyway. And if they do, they go to some sort of a streaming platform. You'll be able to see them anyway. And then what difference does the ratings matter anyway? You can't equate them. It's, what is it, views? So then what? You know what I mean?
There's one number that matters, and that's what position did you end that night on cable? And more times than none, whether the ratings were over 1 million, there was 850,000. AEW is usually in the top 3, and people always want to give them shit. And it's like, they're number 1 on TV. So what?
Mostly number 1 Wednesdays, almost always,
Way more important. But with that, we move on. This is my favorite on this list because I've never committed this one. I'm very certain of this. Not every loss is a burial, people. It's wild to think that. Oh man. Who was the last one we saw? They lost, and it was like
Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah,
that was I think that was the most egregious one that I saw for a while.
And meanwhile, let's go back to the ratings thing. It was the highest ratings of the year when she was buried, and now I think she was trending for like the next day, and then the next week, like this past week, she was trending the next day as well after that. So it wasn't a burial. That was a hey, this is Tiffany Stratton. You guys are going to want to watch her, and they do because it's been a very proven effective model they're using here with having Becky Lynch go down there, get the spotlight on this girl, and she's going to be phenomenal. She's going to be phenomenal. So
I'm not gonna say a lot about this. I'm gonna say one thing really quick. Wrestling fans have no idea what a lot of these insider terms mean, and they just try to throw them around because they want to try to fit in with other wrestling fans on Twitter. Stop doing that. You'd be cooler if you didn't do that. 2, very early on in my YouTube career, I did I think something similar, almost like a top 5 list. And one of the things I highlighted was using of the word buried. Please go watch that. There you go. Find that video and go watch that. You'll get my entire thesis on that.
Boom. Number 2, This is another one. Thinking all gimmicks need to appease you. This one is made specifically for my wrestler of the year, Orange Cassidy, because a lot of people shit on Orange Cassidy, and you need to stop because Orange Cassidy is 1, over, 2, really good, and 3, if you don't get it, then oh well, just move on because a lot of other people do, and that's all that matters. I don't know how much you've seen of Orange Cassidy, Tidy, but the gimmick. Have you ever seen Wet Hot American Summer?
I don't know if I watched it all the way through. I've seen it with my sister a couple times.
So,
we were renting from Blockbuster, I think.
Okay, so Paul Rudd's character in there, he's just like, whatever. That's Orange Cassidy. He's just whatever. Whatever. Once I figured that out, I loved him. Before then, I was like, he's really good. I just don't really care for the character. But a lot of people want to shit on the man. I just don't get it. I don't get it. They'll say he's not a good wrestler because they don't get the gimmick. And it's like, that's silly because he's not a bad wrestler at all. He's really, really, really good. There's a few more in there. That's just the one that really stood out the most to me is Orange Cassidy because it's been
Bray Wyatt was another big one too. I think a lot of people, like, oh, I don't like that spooky stuff. Okay, but a lot of other people do. So just deal with it, and that whatever. Same thing. Look, I didn't like Orange Cassidy when I first watched him, and then have we not been talking about his AEW international title run being one of the best runs of the entire year?
It's one of the best title runs I've seen in the past 20 years, and he's my hands down, clear cut wrestler of the year. No questions about it. Like, that's how good he's been this year. And this, again, I was same as him. I didn't like him when I first saw him. I respected him. He's really good. But the thing about this one is when you're so focused on hating something is so, I don't want to say small, but you're hating on something like that. You're not allowing yourself to really appreciate what's happening in front of you. Because you're so focused on like, this is dumb. No, just stop. And I think it'll help you. You don't have to listen to me. That's fine. I'm just throwing out opinions and recommendations. I'm just a nobody though. I'm just telling you what I think will help you guys enjoy wrestling more. And this is number 2 on that list. And now number 1, saying that whoever the hot commodity of the week is should be a world champion. Because all this does is make you look like the type of person that if you had the book, you're changing the title every single week. Finn Balor's champion this week. Austin Theory's champion this week. Jade Cargill's champion this week. She's not even in the division, but I don't care. She should be world champion. She's that damn good. That's insanity. I've never understood it. But when you're so focused on who you think should be champion, you're not allowing yourself to appreciate who is champion and the work they're doing. And I think a lot of people who think that so-and-so should dethrone Roman Reigns and so-and-so, we've all done it. We have all done it. I know we have. Me and Tidy were guilty of that for almost 2 months straight with Sami Zayn, 100%. But I'm not doing it with everybody, so I get a pass here. I just think it's crazy that when people get so wrapped up in all these names, they have lists, just names of people who should dethrone them. You're not allowed to appreciate what you're getting, and it's taken away from your enjoyment. And I don't want to say my number 1 goal here, but I would like it if everyone just enjoyed wrestling as much as I do, because I fucking love it. I truly love it, and I enjoy it pretty much every week. There's very few things that I hate, and these are the things that I see people doing the most that make me go like, why are you doing that? It doesn't make sense. Why are you doing that? I think you'd enjoy it more if you didn't do those things.
2 quick things. Look,
you're breaking the rules, Courtney. You're breaking the rules already.
But I said it earlier. I agree with her. I wanted at least one more for him. Yeah.
Two really quick things about that. If one, we need to stop this whole thing with as soon as somebody wins a title, all right, who should be the one to take it off of them? Because every single time a title switches, that's immediately what I see. Ray Phoenix beats Mox.
What is up?
True Sinister, what's up, man? How are you, man? But Ray Phoenix beats Mox, and everybody's like, okay, who should take the title off of Mox? Mox just had it. He just won it. Like, why are we doing that? And the second one, if everybody becomes a world champion, the world championship doesn't make it's not special. If everyone gets it for being a consolation prize, then why would it? Then everybody has it. Then why would it be? Why would anybody care?
You know what title changed hands every week? The 24/7 title, and everybody hated that thing.
But everybody wants to book the world title division like it. Isn't it crazy?
It's wild to think about that. So, yes, that is our top 5 list for this week. That's the one I just got this week. I promise you, I'm going to try and make them more fun and happy from here on out. But, yes, the Positively Awesome Wrestling top 5 for this week. And as I said, 5 things fans should stop doing. So thank you for that. And now on to the next part of the show once I figure out this whole thing because I've lost track. Okay, there we go. Now, for the main topic of tonight's show. On Smackdown, we saw John Cena get taken out by Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa because AJ Styles was taken out prior and he was supposed to be John Cena's tag team partner at Fastlane. But nobody came to save the day for good old John Cena, the greatest of all time. Probably because no one thinks they can fill the shoes to help this man. So what we're going to do now is go over who we think is going to be John Cena's tag team partner at Fastlane. But before we get to that, I gave you 3 pictures. Those are the 3, I feel like, highest probabilities. You don't have to pick one of those guys. Just want to put that out. It don't have to be them. Here we go. Courtney's already saying LA Knight. Yeah, a lot of people are saying LA Knight, and I'm not mad at it. But with that, Tidy, I'm going to swing it over to you. Who would you like to see team up with the greatest of all time, John Cena, at Fastlane to take on Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa?
Oh man, I'm just gonna say Cody Rhodes. Just give it to Cody. I'm not upset, see, because that's rule number 6. That's not to be. I'm joking. But
rule number 6.
You know, Cody makes. It's not just about it making sense. I just want it to happen already. Just transition him closer to a Bloodline story, or I'll just wait a while and see where it goes with the Judgment Day story with Jay against the world right now, and how Cody either tries to save him or how Cody gets, suckered into a one-on-one match versus Jay because it ain't working out. I don't know, but just skip all that bullshit. Just send him over there to help John Cena. I mean, you already raised his hand. You raised LA Knight's hand too.
Yes, he did.
I mean,
he hugged The Rock.
Some people want The Rock. I get it. I get it. Just put Cody somewhere, man.
He says, I hope it's The Rock, but I think he's too big. Yeah, for Fastlane, I think it is too big to be The Rock, but I don't think it's 0% chance. I think there's like a 2% chance it could be The Rock. Probably.
They're just gonna lay the Smackdown on their ass. And what kind of story is the Bloodline? I don't know, man. I can't see that. John Cena and The Rock, man, they would destroy the Bloodline.
Yeah,
at least star power wise, it's just ridiculous.
But then that gets The Rock involved in the Bloodline story, which is what we're all waiting for. And Roman Reigns could show up, and it makes Fastlane a phenomenal show. So
that would be good.
Yeah. Albert, what about you? Ty says Cody Rhodes. Are you echoing his sentiments, or do you have a different person on your mind?
I have a completely different person, not one that was even pictured.
Ooh, interesting.
I go with the rated R superstar Edge. He said he wanted something to sink his teeth into to make a big return. This is what bigger. Insert yourself right back into the biggest storyline in pro wrestling. John Cena needs a friend. Edge has been, on this tour of, his career ending and talking to Sheamus about, hey, we never got to wrestle each other. I want to rectify that. Yeah. Maybe he wants to rectify, slapping his dad across the face in one of the best moments in the history of pro wrestling ever. But, I think that it would be a really interesting, way for Cena and Edge's careers to both come full circle for Edge to be the tag team partner.
That's a good one. I did think about that for a second. I think Edge is John Cena's greatest rival. So to see him team up with him, that would be very, very fun. I'm not even throwing that one. I think that's a possibility, honestly. Edge likes to disappear and then make his returns. We all know that. This will be return number 7,322 just this year. But the fans go crazy every time he does it, so why not? That plays pops like crazy. So you'd get a John Cena pop and then an Edge pop. That'd be pretty cool. Could it be Orton?
That's a good one.
Now that Riddle's gone, and we're not doing the RK Bro thing, that'd be a good way to bring him in and make people just forget that he was supposed to go do a thing with Riddle. That's his number 2 rival of all time. That'd be pretty interesting, pretty cool. And the Bloodline did take Randy out. That was the last match we saw with Randy.
Yes, they did.
So True Sinister, I like your style. I like what you're saying there. I'm not mad at that one.
I like that.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Dominic. No, I'm just joking. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna do that. LA Knight. It's got to be LA Knight to me. You got to strike where the iron's hot, and he's been climbing that ladder very, 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 very quickly over this last 2 months. His crowd reactions they haven't died. Everybody figured they'd die by now. I figured they'd kind of dwindle a little bit, but they're not. The fans are completely buying into him. And the entire time I saw John Cena getting his butt kicked, I was thinking, man, if LA Knight came out right now, that would be a huge, huge moment for him.
Roof would blow up the place.
Yes. John Cena, he raised his hand just like he raised Cody's just a few weeks ago. So, and he did. Last time we saw LA Knight, the last thing he said was maybe it'll be Roman Reigns, and the crowd popped for that too. So I think all those things add in. I think LA Knight is your highest probability here. But honestly, all the names y'all said, I think they're all possible. I think they're all very possible. In fact, I'm going to rank them. I think LA Knight's number 1, and I'm not being biased because I said it. Number 2, I'm going to say Orton, honestly, because we've all been waiting for it. We've all been waiting for it. This would be great. 3, Cody. 4, Edge, just because I think Edge is going to AEW, but that's me. Or Adam Copeland, whatever his name. What is it? Sexton Hardcastle.
I think I heard someone say that he can take the name. I think he owns it or something.
I was saying that I looked into it more, and I think it was the Rated R Superstar that they couldn't get. I do think they own the name Edge, so I messed up with that one. But then again, maybe I'm not wrong. But if I am wrong, I'm owning up to it. I read it wrong, and that's what that was. Usually, if everyone else is saying one thing and I'm saying something completely different, I'm probably going to be wrong. I'm hearing they might do Cody versus Omos, and I figured Omos was going to be a Cody thing anyway, so that makes sense to me. And yes, 100%, I think we're keeping Cody away from the Bloodline on purpose because you got to drag it out. If you bring Cody over to SmackDown now, I think it's too soon. If the idea is to do Cody Roman at WrestleMania, it's too soon. If we're doing Cody and Roman at Royal Rumble, it's not too soon. So
right, Survivor Series, sure.
It really depends on what we're doing. And you were asking Tidy about why Jay's over on Raw. It's to keep Jay and Jimmy away from each other so they can have their match at WrestleMania. It doesn't get tired. That's why I think the reason for it is.
I hope so.
And he's proven to be like a legit main event guy. Like he's still over like crazy, even on the other show, not part of the Bloodline story. So good on Jay Uso. But then again, screw Jay Uso, the little bastard trying to take Dom's girl.
Is that a thing? What the hell is all that about? I don't even know what's going on with that.
So well, we're actually going to touch on that in just a little bit. So with that, again, 4 names we got. Let's see, make sure. Yeah, 4 names. Me and Courtney agree with LA Knight. 4 names there that could possibly join John Cena at Fastlane, and I think all 4 names would actually be fun and cool. So I ain't mad at any of them. There we go. You heard it from us. That's what the dealio is. And now, Tidy's asking about what the deal with Jey Uso and Dom is. We're going to get to that in just a second because right now we are going to touch on where's that banner be? We're going to make some matches for Fastlane because WWE is slipping. They ain't announced nothing yet. They are building some things, and I think we have a clear idea of what some of the matches are going to be. But so far, we have half of a match announced. And I think the show is in 2 weeks.
I think so, yeah.
2 weeks. So,
yeah, sounds like it's 2.
So we're going to throw some match ideas out there for them so maybe they can kind of get that thing going a little bit quicker there. Albert, we'll go to you first. What match do you have in your mind that they can make for Fastlane?
I don't, I think we're at a point where the Intercontinental Championship has to be defended on pay-per-view. And I think right now there are a bunch of interesting people to challenge Gunther for that Intercontinental Championship. And I wouldn't mind adding a chapter into the Gable-Gunther story with having the 2 of them and Ciampa in a triple threat match at Fastlane for the Intercontinental title.
Question. Would you throw in Bronson Reed in there too since he just beat Chad Gable?
You know what? Even better. Fatal 4-way makes it even better. I'm all for it. Yeah.
I think that would be awesome. And guess what? Chad Gable can win the Intercontinental title without Gunther being pinned.
That's the interesting thing. If they want to end his title reign like that, he's got the record. That seems to be where they wanted to go. I think that a lot of people believe that every time they mention the Intercontinental Championship record, people go, "Oh, the honky tonk man," and everybody laughs. So now the answer is Gunther, and it's like, all right, there it is. You've got the statistic. If you want that championship to leave Gunther, and you don't want to put Gunther on his shoulders, this is the way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've kind of made it happen. If it did get there, it's kind of happened a little bit organically, so where that match makes a lot of sense. Tidy, what about you? If you could make one match for Fastlane based on what you've been witnessing here, what match are you making?
Well, I was gonna say I had a second option because he said what I wanted. I wanted Gable versus Gunther.
Damn, Albert.
After everything that's happened, I mean, that's like the biggest thing that's happened. I mean, honestly. So I think because Charlotte hasn't been around a while, it'll be Charlotte versus Asuka. I need a part 2 to them besides just their WrestleMania. That's a misunderstanding. Asuka still looked confused, like what the hell just happened. Yeah. Looking at Charlotte and Bayley on the floor. It can easily be Charlotte, Asuka, and someone else versus Damage Control for all I know. But I don't want to go back to that after Io had such a good chance. I don't think she defends this early, so I think Charlotte and Asuka to see who's the number 1 contender. I don't know where Bianca's at, honestly, because I want Bianca to mess around with. Those are 4 big names, but I really want Charlotte versus Asuka again. Problem with that is I can't see Charlotte losing. Charlotte needs a win if she's been away this long, in a sense. But yeah, I'm going Charlotte versus Asuka. Just out of personal greed, I want to see it, and I think it's possible to build it in the next 2 weeks.
I do like that because it gives us a women's match on the pay-per-view that's not a title match.
Not a title match.
I do like it when they do those things because that's a big thing for the women's division, and everyone's like, they need to book it better. Well, that's one of the things they can do to help. So,
and it's the only good thing to lead to an EO match, and if Bianca comes back, then she could fight the winner of Charlotte versus Asuka. So.
Yeah, that works 100%.
The women have been main eventing a lot, almost NXT, almost every week. There were women's main events on Raw. I mean, Io and Asuka were probably was the biggest announced match on Smackdown. They've been doing a lot better with making the women's division a little bit more, important.
And just to give them their flowers as well, AEW's been doing it as well. That's been the biggest gripe AEW's had for years. And I think that a women's division has been getting a little bit better. They main evented like 4 shows in a row at one point.
Yeah, and I mean, they main evented Rampage.
But they gave them the opportunity. And that's all I ever ask. Give the people the opportunity to win them over and take these moments and shine. And that's what they were doing. So
you're a big Rampage guy, right? Didn't Jade and Chris Statlander just main event Rampage?
Oh, my God. And that match was awesome. It was awesome. Jade's best match to date.
Unfortunately, I actually watched Rampage for the first time in a long time to watch that match, and it did not disappoint.
Rhea and Nia should be sooner. That's a match that I can see happening at Fastlane, honestly.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I'm okay with that.
That was also on my list, but man, I mean,
real quick.
Beast. I don't see her losing. You're going to put her in a pay-per-view?
Yeah, for sure.
Judgment Day, shenanigans, whatever.
Are we hating Nia Jax's return so far?
No, I'm a huge Nia Jax fan since way back then. It's one of the people that me and my roommate will watch, and she, looks up to some of these women like Charlotte Flair. Nia Jax being the brute that she is, I love the destruction. I'm all for Nia Jax all the way.
I'll say I'm not a big fan of Nia Jax. Really haven't ever been. I like that she helped create the man. That was really cool. But the one thing I do like about Nia Jax is that everybody hates her. Which means she's doing a pretty good job. Whether you hate her for whatever reasons, I don't really care. You hate her, and that she's there to make you hate her, and she does a good job with it. And she hasn't hurt anybody yet, so I'm not going to hate on it. Maybe she's gotten better. Whatever she's doing, what she's doing on the show has been great.
Yeah, wreck everybody and leave. It works for me.
And I'm not even opposed to the idea of her still being tied to the bloodline in some way, shape, or form. I think it's possible.
I really hope so, dude.
Yes, I do. I think the timing of Jey Uso showing up on Raw and then Nia Jax showing up on Raw is very coincidental. So my match to make is going to be main event Jey Uso, that dirty, dirty son bitch. and he's going to have to take on the most dangerous man in wrestling, Dirty Dom.
God dang it.
Mysterio.
I knew it.
And I can say this because it actually makes sense for a change. I'm not just pulling things out of thin air because I'm the biggest fanboy on the planet. I'm saying, Jay, we saw Jay. Rhea's a fan. Oh, really? Man, that's a no-no. You can't be doing that stuff, Jay. Dom's the one that opened up his arms to Jay, and then Jay's going to disrespect him like that? No, 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 no. They need to wrestle. Here's the kicker, though. You're never going to guess where I'm going with this. Rhea should help. I'm not going to use the word should. If I was paper to pen, Rhea accidentally helps Jey Uso beat Dominic Mysterio to really kind of start to put more of a wedge in there, because I do see it coming. But the match makes sense because he's feuding with the Judgment Day. You saw him turn his back on him. Damian gave him a fist bump, and he kicked him in his head like a little bastard. Jey Uso's so ungrateful, man. And then he's trying to scheme in on Dom's girl while Dom's off doing things. Rhea's gone. Dom's getting his butt kicked, and Jey Uso is just trying to pray. Man, he needs to get his butt kicked. Unfortunately, probably won't happen. But I do think the match happens at Fastlane. I do think we get Dom versus main event Jey Uso. And it's a great, because Jey Uso is mega over as a babyface, and I don't need to remind anybody about what Dom does every time he picks up the microphone. And no, it is not. They're not pumping in crowd noise. People, stop with that nonsense. Imagine if Kyrie comes back and feuds with Nia. I've heard that Kyrie was supposed to be coming back. That was like 2 months ago, though. So I don't know what's happening with that. I don't know if they've even reported more on it. Again, I'm 0 dark 30 on that. But I would like it because I love Kyrie Sane. I think Kyrie Sane is amazing.
Best elbow in the business.
No, you good, man. Chat away. That's what I embrace it. I allow y'all to come in here and chat away. This is the chat. Join in on the haps. That's what I say. Seth versus Knock. Yeah. A 3-way probably is what's happening there, which kind of throws a wrench in the 3-way for the Intercontinental title, which do a 4-way.
But we made it into a 4-way, so it works.
Yeah.
I love Nakamura, man. Nakamura is looking brilliant.
Nakamura has been phenomenal in this run. I love it. Thank you, Trips.
Can I just point out, actually, we were just talking about the Judgment Day, and I actually want to point out something that now that Tidy's back on the show, I want to point out something about his boy, JD. Jimmy, I was thinking about this the other day. Rhea was the one who said to Dom a couple of weeks ago, make sure we get the outcome we want in that match. When it came to JD, trying to look good to get into the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
He beat Sami Zayn, right?
Yeah.
Now, the next week, JD comes out with Dom. That means that Rhea wanted JD in the Judgment Day, which means, it almost seemed like her and Priest were a little closer. But it's ironic that she wants Finn's friend in the Judgment Day. I wonder if this is just Rhea appeasing both sides to try to make everybody happy here. Like, is that what's going on? Or is Rhea's allegiance just to whoever she feels is more beneficial to being aligned to at that point?
I'll say what I think Rhea's doing. She's being a phenomenal leader. She's doing what's best for the entire group, not just one person or this person. She goes, I understand JD could be helpful if he joined. I don't care if Damian's against it, because Damian knows that I have the best interest in heart. He may not trust Finn, but he trusts her opinion for sure. So if she's on board, Damian would get on board, and I think that's what that is.
And that would make Finn happy, so why not?
Right. We saw that backstage with Rhea and Priest when they were talking about cashing in the Money in the Bank, and she was like, nope, not yet. And you're right. She's the leader of this group. She's the one that's really calling the shots at this point. They keep saying we don't have any leaders, but it's kind of clear to see that Rhea's taken over that place without so much as saying so.
Yeah, they keep saying that, but yet no one alludes back to, like, well, who's the one that keeps calming people down or telling people to shut up or telling people to get in line or telling people, hey, go make sure this match turns out right. It's really just her, but I find that actually very entertaining in my head. There's no leaders in the Judgment Day, and it's just her, and most of us just kind of know it. It's freaking hilarious.
She got these dudes all twisted. They were like, there's no leaders
here. Hypocrisy.
She goes, yeah, there's no leaders here.
Don't talk about Rhea. She told us not to tell y'all that. She told us to say there's no leaders here while she's puppeting us. Freaking brilliant.
And as we pointed out before, Judgment Day really took off when Rhea Ripley came back from her absence, and that's when Judgment Day took off. So yeah, I've always thought Rhea was kind of the number one, and now that the commentary is talking about the leader, and she's stepping up more, she's definitely the leader. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Speaking of Judgment Day, like, why wouldn't they have a match? The tag team champions for, Fastlane.
Well, we're getting them Monday. Yeah.
Nah, man, they're gonna retain. That's what I'm saying. They're going to have a match. There's no way that KO and Sammy do. You know what? KO and Sammy are slowly beefing over Jay. You know what, man? They can't win right now.
Okay,
they're not cohesive right now.
You just brought it up, and we got time, so I'm gonna ask a question here. Y'all both feel free to answer. What are the chances that Jey Uso cost KO and Sammy that match on Monday?
I think it's highly possible. He's coming out there to try to keep Dom out of the way. Accidentally, super kicks one of the two of them.
DQ, get him some DQ or something.
Keep trying to prove to KO that I got y'all's back. Yeah, I can see it because I want to see KO and Jey Uso at Fastlane is what I was thinking. Because I thought Dom would be doing. Isn't there NXT little PLEs supposedly coming a big show for them around?
So Dom's wrestling Dragon Lee on Monday, and then I think Tuesday he was supposed to wrestle Mustafa Ali, but that's not happening now. So I don't know what they're doing there. I think they'll probably touch on a little bit, but we'll find out.
So there's time for Dom to still have his match at Fastlane then. It's not that close together.
She tells Dom what to do because she's the Dom and he's the sub. That's what that one. That's what that one is. So second question revolving around this tag title match: if Jey Uso does come in and cost him the match, how would you like to see it happen?
I think Dom gets, comes out, tries to interfere. We get Jay coming out to, kind of be the person who helps them out. I'm going to try to get Dom out of here. Dom gets in the ring. Jay lines him up for a super kick. Then, as Jay winds up, Dom moves and he kicks Sammy.
Okay.
And KO looks right on at him. What are you doing? Again, all right, the first time you want to say it was an accident with me, fine. But come on, now look. Now that distracts him for the second. Priest takes him off. Balor comes in and pins Sammy, and then they lose. It's perfect, and it shows that Jay isn't doing anything wrong. He's just, wrong place, wrong time, and nobody trusts him.
Yeah. What about you, Tidy?
I'm something similar, man. I just want to see KO and Jay fight. I just want to get to that. Is all I know. I am no figuring shit out expert. I just know
that's fine.
KO
we just shooting the shit at this point. We got just time to kill, so we just shooting the shit. So now, Drew McIntyre, he plays into all this somehow. What do we think his plans for Fastlane might be? Because I've already booked Jey Uso against Dom. You can't do that.
Here's the thing. I think we're getting to the point where Drew is about to turn heel. I think that if he doesn't do it on Monday, if it's not, because he's facing faces now. The last couple of weeks, that's what he's been doing. We know he looks like he still really does want a match with Kofi too. So he's got that thing going on. I don't know if there's a pay-per-view match for him right now. I think we build this heel character. Maybe another. I think he's the guy who attacks Seth, and we see him take on Seth at Survivor Series.
I think Drew is got a little bit too much momentum going with this turn that's happening. Leaving him off the pay-per-view might be a mistake. There's a very rare occasion where I am gonna step in and be like, WWE you might be fumbling a little bit. Obviously, they know what they're doing, and I'm just an idiot. But it appears to me that it would be a fumble if they didn't have something with Drew at the pay-per-view, and that's where it kind of just implodes with him, where he just loses his freaking mind. But I don't know where he fits in. And that's the problem. So I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I think they're trying to just get him, built up a little bit more. I mean, like True Sinister said, maybe him versus Kofi does happen at the pay-per-view. But
that's what I want. I want Drew to destroy Cody. That's what I want. I want Drew to annihilate Cody Rhodes.
That's very possible.
That could happen.
He could go out there and just whoop Cody's butt tomorrow because you brought Jey Uso over.
Yeah,
that's what he's been teasing.
Gotta Drew versus KO, Drew versus Sammy, Drew versus Cody. He needs to make a big statement. So that's what I want eventually.
Okay. Drew versus Kofi. I think he's moved on from that since Riddle's bye-bye. That's a sad day, but which is a shame too, because Kofi had a great match with Ivar this past week, and it's like, wow,
yes, he did.
I'd like to see Kofi and Drew with Kofi and having that kind of match with Drew. That would be phenomenal. Shout out to Ivar and Kofi. That was a great match.
And you know what?
Really great match.
I do like Cody Rhodes. I like Cody Rhodes a lot. I seen
You
half of
sound
the
like me
documentary,
right now.
and I had to turn that shit off because I'm starting to like him too much. so
I watched that Kurt Angle one. Oh,
I need to watch that too. I'm gonna.
It's better than the Cody Rhodes one, man.
But I mean, shit, Cody. I mean, man, you need to take a big L right now, man. Okay, he's been on a roll. Cody's been winning. Cody's been looking good, backing down the Judgment Day. You know, whatever. You know, they try to 2-on-1 him, and Cody still pushed them away. That's some bullshit. Yeah. So he needs to take an L. Take an L to Drew. Screw it. Just do
Tidy's over here, but like, I'm starting to like Cody too much. When he comes out, I'm not saying whoa. I'm saying no.
I want to know what he wants to talk about. This is turning into an issue. Catchy ass.
Well, that's Dom's fault. Because every time he comes out to talk, Dom comes out and interrupts him. So, but I'm glad you watched that documentary, because now you're on board with the whole Cody finishing his story, aren't you?
Yeah, I do want him to finish the story.
It was a great way to kind of get you there.
I want to see how they get there. Judgment Day was a good mix. Bringing Jay down was a good mix because it's not so apparent anymore, and I love being shocked. So that's the show. I didn't watch AEW Collision. I've turned it off. Everybody, Albert's got something to say. I'm gonna let him hit it up. What's got?
One more thing to add, really quick. It's very brief. My second favorite thing, I think, on all of wrestling this week, that Pretty Deadly skit.
Yes, boys.
Yes, boy. They're stars. That's it. I like we had this discussion. We didn't know if they were going to make it on the main roster. I love it. This injury is the biggest blessing in disguise for them. Yeah. That skit was so great. The stethoscope on the knee, Kit just accidentally hurting him every single time. Elton Prince just cannot seem to catch a break in the. Oh my God, they were so good.
That was touching, but you're on my hair. I freaking love it.
The doctor said, he's fine. He just hurt his shoulder.
NXT UK to NXT, I always knew those guys were stars. They have such charisma. They can wrestle. They can beat anyone's ass. They have the great look. Just their facials that make me laugh. Dude, they're definitely going to be tag team champs in WWE.
I was 100% wrong about them, and I'm happy to admit that, because I really just did not think they were. I wanted them to, and then after I saw them the first few weeks, I was like, man, it doesn't look like they're going to do it. But they've changed my mind. I think they're going to be fine. I really like it when that killer instinct of them comes out. But in the meantime, skits like what we got on SmackDown, yes, boys. I want more of that. It was great. Yes. Pretty Deadly. They're great. I like them. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Phenomenal.
Awesome week of wrestling. Unfortunately, I didn't watch Collision. I might go ahead and check out the FTR match later, because I did hear it was pretty good. And I do like FTR. But yeah, they've lost that one. But that's fine, because I enjoyed Raw. I enjoyed Grand Slam. I enjoyed Rampage. And I enjoyed SmackDown. I even watched some of NXT, and I enjoyed that too. So wrestling was great. I'm enjoying it. I hope everyone else is enjoying it. We are in a boom period, baby. So everybody should be enjoying it. That's what I think. So with that said, it is time to say our goodbyes. We're at the 1 hour mark. We finally did it, boys. High five. Yeah. Tidy, before we go, do you have anything you'd like to say to the peoples out there for them to know?
Yeah, I caught somebody on Twitter saying, if I hear one more time someone tells me just to enjoy wrestling when I'm just having a simple critique, I get it. Critiques are needed.
I know who that was.
Yeah, I know critiques are needed. I get what people were saying. I think what Jimmy's saying, or what I would say, is just, it's the super negativity, man. There's nothing wrong with critiquing something. Like, I'll find things to critique in Cody. I'll do it right now. I'm joking. There's not much to critique.
We don't have that much time.
I know, but I get it, man. Critiquing is important. It's a part of any art. We always critique stuff, but I think it's more about being extreme.
Yeah,
an extreme negative monster, hating just to hate. If you got a critique that makes sense, holy shit, that's brilliant, because you're using your mind. I like that shit. That's all I wanted to say.
I'll say this: if your ratio of negative to or critiquing, as some of them like to say, because some of them aren't critiquing, they're just like, I'm just critiquing. No, you're not. You're just being a negative asshole. But if your ratio from negative to positive or happiness is favoring the critiquing, you're not critiquing. You're just being negative. That's how I take it. So I see some people who critique, and it's fine. I see some people who just blaspheme, like just blatantly hate, not blasphemy, blatantly hate nonstop. That's not critiquing. It sounds to me like you just don't like wrestling. So if you don't like wrestling, you shouldn't watch it. Go watch the stuff on the network or Peacock, whatever you got to watch it, or the whatever website you go steal it from. Go watch that stuff because that's the stuff you enjoy. There's the new stuff. It's evolved like every other form of entertainment has. Movies, TV shows, sports, everything. Everything's evolved over the years. If you can't get on board with it, that's fine. I'm not saying you need to. Just watch the stuff you liked and leave this one alone because you're not enjoying it. I've used this analogy so many times. I watched ESPN Sports Center every day of my life for like 10, 11, 12 years. I don't even know. And I'd watch it over and over again. I'd watch the repeats just to see if they added new things to it. And then one day I was like, man, they will not shut up about LeBron James. This is not fun to me anymore. I've not watched Sports Center since. Straight up. It's not hard. I just didn't enjoy it, and I was happier for it. So
it's so weird. That's the exact drop off point that I had.
Yeah. Critique is fine. I don't hate people who critique, but when you're negative more than you are enjoying it, that's the problem. And if you just stopped hating it, maybe you could enjoy it, or you just go watch the stuff that you do enjoy. Some people are just, well, that's true too. That's true too. And I'm not going to bring up that guy because I don't like to give him the person that you mentioned, True Sinister. I agree with 100%. I'm just not going to put him up here.
And look, sometimes, guys, look, I just want to point this out. Look, if you're going to engagement bait, at least have a little blue check mark next to your name so you're going to make money off of it. If you're just doing it for likes and views, you're not even getting the benefit of engagement baiting. That's what they're doing. Do you know why people are engagement baiting? Because it's making them money on X. Elon Musk is throwing them money because he's throwing them money.
Yeah, good for them.
That's why they're doing it. So if you're doing it just because you're going to be on Bad Take Andy 505 because you just want to get engagement, that's not doing anything for you with just getting people talking about you and probably getting people to talk negative about you. So if you're going to do it, at least make money off of it.
I'll say this. I have an engagement bait post that I use almost every day, and it ain't negative. You don't got to be negative to engage, but to get that engagement, you don't have to. I promise you. You gotta think. You gotta be a little bit more creative and come up with your own shtick, but you don't have to be negative. But with that said, Albert, swing it over to you. Do you have anything you would like to say to the peoples before we say our goodbyes?
I'm editing the next video in the toy room sequence. So we're up to 13 episodes already, guys. I can't even believe it's been that long. And it's been that many weeks in a row that I've been doing this, but I haven't committed to this. I think my girlfriend's the last thing I've committed to this longer than this. So, it's a very, long relationship in my life. But go give them a watch. And like I said, go back to the beginning. Watch some of the early ones. You want to hear about my rant about, people talking about being buried. You want to see some of the stuff where I get a little bit more negative. Here, I think I'm a little bit mostly positive. I get a little negative every once in a while here, but I'm mostly positive. Crazy? You want to see it? Join one of the live streams or definitely go back, watch some of those old videos. I promise you won't be disappointed.
Yes, go watch Slam Sessions. I co-signed that one 100%, especially if you like toys. His toy room stuff is great. And then to say something, yes, this is the engagement one I do. And I'll say this. I've had a few people ask me, they accuse me of doing it for engagement. And again, I'm not really. It is an engagement post, but I'm doing it because I like to see the positivity. Because our Bray Wyatt episode thing we did a few weeks ago, where we talked about like how it kind of just sucks to watch him get pooped on with the comments for so long. And then that what happens, and then everybody wants to say, oh, we miss him. And that's, I'm not saying you don't, but man, just think if we were positive beforehand. And that's what my post is for. It's to create the space for people to be positive and really shed some good light on these wrestlers who get crapped on a lot, way more than they should. And that's what my post is for. Is it for engagement? Yes, because I like seeing it. because I don't see enough of it on Twitter, and it's a damn shame because we should see more of it. 100%. It goes back to just being negative. I don't get it. I don't get why you would just talk shit about someone online non-stop. Like, what's up with you? But
how is that fun for you? I don't want to talk about the things I don't like. It ruins my day.
Yeah. But with that said, we'll be right back here this week for next week for another episode of Positively Awesome Wrestling. We'll probably do Fastlane predictions because I think it is the weekend after. I'm not 100% sure. But on top of that, we'll have some more things. And also, make sure you check out the Twitter X page, whatever we're calling it, for our top 5 next week. Give us your ideas. I'll throw them in there. I promise you. If I get 5 that aren't mine, because y'all are so much better at this than me, I'll put all 5 of them up there. I'm not that guy. I'll gladly shed some light on y'all, and I'll even give y'all a shout out for your help. So with that said, thank you for watching. Thank you for your continued support. And don't forget, everybody, to just enjoy wrestling. I don't care if you don't want me saying it. I'm going to say it anyway. Just enjoy wrestling because that's what we're